that sounded kind of like a knife.
No!
I waited a minute or two until I built up my courage to make a run for it and screamed for my life while I ran to my parents' bedroom and locked the door. I explained to them what happened, and there was someone in my closet. My mom called 911.
Oh, he's
And the guy
inside!
was saying stuff like, "Come out, and I won't make your parents watch as I stab you."
What? Alright, what's good YouTube? Welcome back for another video. It's your boy Mr. President. How's it going? How's it going? So welcome to part 3 of the scary stories from January to April. Screw the intro, man. We're gonna get right into it where we left off. Here we go. Roll that clip, man. You already know, man. You already know. I can never let that go. Thirsty
I live in
boys.
California, and have always been good friends with this kid named Ethan. We had all the same interests, so we got along great. But that's besides the point. There's this old abandoned house a few blocks away that has been vacant for years. I have no idea why it was never fixed and sold. The point is, it's abandoned. All the neighborhood kids are always telling rumors about the place. And to be honest with you, I never thought they could be true. The house was creepy.
Damn, I didn't read the title
though. So one night, while Ethan was staying at my house for the night, we decided to sneak out at like 1 a.m. to explore the place. We brought along our phones for flashlights and to record. So we rode our bikes down the block and found the house. It was 2 stories high and made of brick, with broken windows and an overgrown lawn. Basically all the natural traits of an abandoned house. Ethan and I hid our bikes in a bush and went around the backside. Oddly enough, the back door was unlocked.
Shit.
One of the rumors is that local homeless people, drug addicts, and gang members all hang out here.
They just walked into the
fact
trap.
that someone seemed to have been here kind of freaked us out. Inside, it smelled like shit. It was so dark that if it weren't for our flashlights, we definitely wouldn't have been able to see anything. We walked through what appeared to be a kitchen, around through a living room, into a foyer. Just as we were about to go upstairs, there was a sudden, loud thump. Ethan and I both jumped and stood frozen. Dude, I think someone's up there, I whispered to Ethan. Yeah, no kidding, he said back. Let's check it out. Dude, are you fucking crazy? I said. But Ethan either didn't hear or ignored me, as he was already halfway up the stairs.
It's always gonna be your own
As much as I did not want to go up there, I decided to anyways, because there was no way in hell I was staying down in the dark alone. We got upstairs and heard an identical thump down the hall.
Yo, that's a big house though.
Holding up my phone to continue recording, I reluctantly followed Ethan down there. We approached the doorway and glanced through to see someone standing by the window. It was so dark, all we could make out was a brown sweater he was wearing. We knew he had to know we were here.
Of course,
we had already shown the flashlight on him.
You're shining the flashlight on him, bro.
Ethan began to cautiously walk towards the guy.
Why are you walking towards him?
I stood back by the doorway. Ethan walked up to the guy, strained his body to look at his face, and screamed. He shoved the guy, who fell to the floor, stiff like a statue, and grabbed my shirt collar as he tugged me away from there. I dropped my phone as we nearly trampled each other running down the stairs and out the back door. We got on our bikes and pedaled fast as possible back home. Apparently, when Ethan had walked up to the stiff man, he realized that the man was some sort of taxidermied human, with black sockets where his eyes had been taken out. At the same time, he heard a crack in the floorboards
like they do with those bears
from across the room, and saw the silhouette of a man huddled in a dark corner watching him. We had the nerve to go back to the house a few days later to try and find my phone.
That shit gone, bro.
They pawned that. As the taxidermied human and whoever was in that house. We didn't dare report it to the police for fear of getting busted for breaking and entering and sneaking out at night. I know. I guess that sounds stupid now. Ethan and I are still great friends in high school, and this memory is still one we will never forget for as long as we live.
Creepy deep web horror stories. Animated.
A few years ago, while I was in high school, the deep web was becoming
Bro,
very
I used to
popular.
love not going
I
on
never
it, but
really
like
got into it until my
just
friend
learning
told me
about
about
that,
it
bro.
because he was into that weird stuff. One day after school, I had nothing to do, so I went onto the browser Tor. I didn't really see much, so I called my friend over so he could help me out. Once he got to my house, we started searching more and more. We saw a lot of drugs and illegal weapons, stuff like that.
For real. You
Then
could
he
literally
clicked on
buy
a
an
link that
AK
was in
there,
the
bro.
chat room, and the link said, "Watch this." As we're sitting there, we're just
Don't do
staring
it,
at the
man.
screen
Exit
that
out of
went
there.
from black to the outside of a building
They're
within
gonna
a few
track your
seconds.
IP.
And out of nowhere, a sticky note that said, "Want to see something cool?" So then I typed, "Yeah, sure." What was weird was the guy wouldn't type. He just showed sticky notes in the camera. And he also never spoke. All of a sudden, the camera started moving toward the building that it was facing.
Okay.
As we're watching him move toward the building, we noticed that the building was in our neighborhood.
I was about to say,
Then he
bro,
quit
that's the
moving
back
and
of your
put another
house.
sticky note that said elevator. That kind of creeped me out.
Yo.
And then a person entered the building, which was eerily dark. The camera stopped at a padlocked door and then unlocked it and opened it. The camera moved toward the back of this dark room, and there was a dog bowl on the floor. Now at this point, the camera was only facing the dog bowl. A few moments later, whoever the person was that was holding the camera put something in the bowl that looked like just slop. Honestly,
Man,
it
it look like
looked
shit.
like feces. Then you hear another door open and a girl crying in the background, along with a chain.
They're gonna make her eat it.
This girl shows
they
up
do.
in the camera crying with a chain around her neck. And the guy shoved her face in the bowl and puts a sticky note in front of the camera that said, "Cool, right?" Then the screen goes black. We
That's
sat there
creepy
for about
as
10
hell,
minutes
man.
in disbelief, but the stream was still live. Then out of nowhere, the camera was back on. And it was in the corner of my street.
Damn, I told y'all, boys.
Then another sticky note that said,
You're next.
545 East 99th Street off of St. Clair. That was my address.
Got him.
Then another sticky note that said, "Open the door." We sat there confused, then out of nowhere, a knock at the door. I grabbed my phone,
Go
jumped
get the
up,
strap.
and we both ran to the back door. Then we heard a knock at that door right before I grabbed the handle. At that point, we had someone at the back door and someone at the front door.
Oh, there's a
knocking.
group of them.
We were stuck. Critical thinking wasn't my strength at that point.
Oh, you dumb.
We ran upstairs, called the cops, and locked ourselves in my room. The cops showed up, but no one was outside. Only items that the cops found were 100 sticky notes,
Damn.
all with my address written on them. I told the cops about the building with the girl, and they found it. The girl was 14 and had been missing for 5 weeks.
Damn.
We moved out of that house within
At
a
least
week,
they found her, right?
but I would never visit the deep or the dark web
I
again.
told you, bro. They're gonna track where you live. They're gonna track everything. Creepy man followed me home from the cemetery.
One day, when I was in the 6th grade, on a rainy day, I was walking home. On my walk, which is about a mile or so long, I had to walk through a cemetery. Not a stereotypical, shabby, haunted one, but one that had many people walking through and was usually full of maintenance employees. I remember walking by a group of them sitting on benches on a break. I thought nothing of it, as he stood up and started walking at a fair distance. After a bit, I looked back at him and he looked down quickly. He was in the same baby blue uniform as the others.
I bet he don't
He had
even
a
work
gray
there,
beard.
bro.
But I made out a name tag, Frank P. As the other workers faded from sight, he was still behind me. I began to worry. A moment later, he called out, "It's wet, huh?" in a friendly voice.
This dude.
I chuckled politely and agreed. My worries increased a second later when I walked out and he was still behind me. I was close to my house now, and it started to pour. My house in sight, I started jogging to get there. I glanced back and I saw the man, visibly angry.
Because he can't run.
Start
Oh,
As my
that's
house
that
got
40-yard
closer,
dash,
I began to
bro.
sprint.
Don't go
I
home,
didn't
though.
look back as I slung the key out of my backpack and
He
opened
gonna
the
follow
door.
you.
I looked behind me. I saw the man in the middle of the street. I walked over to the phone and dialed 911. Before I called, I looked out the window. He was gone.
Now he know where you live.
I told my mom what happened when she got home. She didn't believe me. That night,
Damn.
I couldn't sleep. There was lightning outside, and I could see occasional shadows from the flashes through my window in my living room.
bro.
I lay watching
I
the
mean, he look
flashes
like he
when
like
I saw a
70, bro.
strange
I just go
outline.
out there myself and
I
fade
looked
him.
closer and saw an
Then again, you are a
outline
jit,
of
though.
a man. I stood up and walked out of my room. I walked into the living room. It was completely dark outside. I stood in the doorway and waited. A car's headlight illuminated the pale, shallow face of Frank P.
Damn, bro.
I ran into my room and locked
What's
the
up with
door.
Frank?
Never saw him after that night. But whenever I see that baby blue uniform, I think
That man
back to that night
traumatized.
and that haunting image of the skeletal, unnatural face of Frank P.
The bathroom horror story. Oh, true bathroom horror story. Sorry, boys. I'm sorry. It's been a long day.
This is a true horrifying incident that happened to me when I was very young. The year was 2007, and I was an 8-year-old girl studying at a primary school. The school was old, and it was built after the war and Japanese invasion in my country. I heard that there were Japanese army men and local people killed on the land brutally. And many teachers and students claim that they have encountered paranormal
They just
activity.
beheaded homeboy
Although
right
I've
there.
never seen anything paranormal at the school, this place still gave me a creepy vibe. My class was located on the 2nd floor, just beside the girls' bathroom. The chilling part is, we could see an old cemetery park from there before entering the bathroom. One day, when I was studying in my class, I wanted to pee, so I asked the teacher's permission and went to the bathroom. I got into the first stall and locked the door. There was no light or anyone in there. It was just me. Everything was silent until suddenly, someone banged and kicked the door that was in front of me. I was in shock and froze for the first seconds. I don't know why, but I didn't scream for my life. I just quickly pushed against the door so the person wouldn't break in. After a few minutes, the banging stopped. I waited for a few more minutes and opened the door.
Bro, I don't know why
There was
people
no
try
one
to
in
do
there.
that shit when
I
someone in
walked
the
out,
bathroom,
ready to go
bro.
back to my classroom. Then,
I
saw a
promise you,
student
bro,
with
someone
broad
ever try to do
shoulders
that to
and
me, bro,
chocolate
I'll
skin
piss on
standing
you.
opposite
Straight
of
up,
my
bro.
direction.
Oh, R.
He was
Kelly
looking
you. I
at
wouldn't
me
even
with a smile
hesitate.
on his face. I froze because he was one of my classmates, and he actually sat near me. I think, after he saw me go out of the bathroom, he followed me, and that was him inside. I quickly returned to my classroom and didn't speak of anything about it to anyone. The student soon went in and sat down quietly. I cannot recall his name, but I still remember this incident even now. I will never forget this horrifying experience. I wonder what would have happened to me if I didn't lock the door, or if he had successfully broke in that day.
True hotel shower horror story. Okay.
This happened a few
they
months
doing
ago
in that
when
shower,
my family
though?
and I were driving back from my aunt's house in Carmel. The sun was slowly starting to set as we continued driving. As my mom started to get tired of driving, my dad spotted a nice-looking hotel that was pushed back in the forest. My mom pulled over and we walked towards the hotel. The place seemed nice, but I had a bad feeling about the hotel. My dad asked the lady at the front desk if there were any spare rooms that we could stay in for the night. The lady surprisingly said yes, but that our shower was broken and that
Surprisingly.
unfortunately they wouldn't be able to fix it. But she said we could use the community showers on the 2nd floor. We took the elevator up to our room and set down our things. I decided before I went to bed that I would use the community showers. As I walked to the
And y'all just
showers,
let her
I
go alone?
realized that they were much different than normal showers. To start off, there was a door connecting the boys' community showers to the girls' community showers. Secondly, instead of shower curtains, they had glass doors. So much for privacy. As I looked around,
Yo,
I
why'd
realized
y'all
the
let that
showers
little
were
girl go
completely
alone,
empty.
bruh?
I thought to myself, if I took a quick shower, then I wouldn't have to worry about anyone walking in. I hopped in and washed myself. As time went on, the glass started to get very foggy and I couldn't see anything outside. I heard the door that connected the boys' showers to the girls' showers open. Why the hell would a boy want to come in here?
Shit, only
Since I
one
couldn't
reason.
see anything, I decided to wipe my hand on the glass to get rid of the fog. As I did that, I saw a homeless man in his mid-40s
Oh,
with greasy
hell
hair,
no, bro.
with his face directly on the glass looking at me with a smirk. As I
Why
looked
they
down,
even,
I saw he was
damn, why they
holding
even
a
let a
large
homeless
kitchen
dude in
knife.
there?
I screamed and I opened the glass door as fast as I could, knocking the guy to the ground. I quickly grabbed a
Good shit.
towel and ran out. I ran to our room and told my parents what happened. They immediately called the
Oh,
police
hell
and
no,
they
bro.
arrived and searched the showers.
Hell no, man.
They
If I
found
was
him
that
knocked
girl's
over in the
dad,
same
bro, I'll
position I
straight
had
up
knocked
go
him
down
out
there and
in.
put a bullet in his brain.
Apparently, he was a registered sex offender and even went as far as to raping a girl my age. They arrested
Sick
him and
bastard,
I'm not
bro.
sure what they did after that. This story still terrifies me to this day, and I never went back to the hotel in fear that I might see him again.
True creepy stalker horror story. Nah, bro, I would have sued the hotel too.
My name
Letting
is
a homeless
Victor,
guy in there, bro. What
and
the
I'm
hell?
23 years old. I have a story that happened to me when I was 17 years old. I work as a carpenter at a local building company,
That boy.
and this happened at the period when I was a trainee for the same company.
That boy building those
We were
cabinets,
renovating
dog.
a very old
Or nah,
apartment
he doing
building
commercial.
from around the
That boy building
1960s
those hotels.
that was going to be school classrooms for a school that had bought the building. As many carpenters, we were working on Friday, which basically means that we started earlier the rest of the week, so we could go home early on Fridays, which means it was a lot of very early mornings. So one day, I was on my way to work at about 4:30 in the morning.
That's how it be,
I was
bro.
walking the
Construction
usual
life.
way to my bus. It was about 1 kilometer.
Only good thing about doing
It was through
construction,
the
bro,
block I was living on, and
is
then
that
through a small
you get
path
the
in the
rest
forest,
after you're done. It's
about
only just heavy
200
work.
meters.
But
By
then
this
again,
time in
it
the
puts
morning, it was still
it
pitch
puts a
black.
toll on your body.
Because it was winter and I live in Sweden, so the path through the forest was
I'd
like
take
a
mental pain
black
over
hole.
anything.
So I grabbed my phone and put the flashlight on, an old
What are you
iPhone
doing walking in the
4S, by the
forest,
way,
bro?
and began walking the small path. About halfway on the path, I heard a crackling noise from my right and flashed my light in the direction and saw nothing. I just figured it was an animal or something. At the end of the path, I heard the crackling noise again, but this time it was much closer. I had always been a little paranoid in the dark, but was trying to get over it. But I began walking a little faster anyway, keeping an eye behind me the whole time. When I arrived at the bus station, I sat down, waiting for the bus, and was saying to myself that I was a coward for being so paranoid about a small sound I heard.
Hell
I
yeah.
could see the forest I walked through from the bus station because it was
If I were
only
you, I wouldn't
about
tell that
50
story to the
meters from
boys at the
station.
construction site, bro.
When I looked at
They'll
the
roast
path,
you.
I saw a man standing behind a tree, right under a street light, about 10 meters to the right of the path, and he was clearly watching me. He was wearing black pants and an old light blue, almost pastel-colored jacket, like it was from the 80s. I felt a bit sick when I realized he was watching me, even though it was only for about 20 seconds before I saw the bus arriving from around the corner. I immediately felt relief when I saw the bus. So I stepped on the bus, and it was as usual, completely empty. I sat at the back of the bus and looked back at the forest to see if the man was still there, but he wasn't. When the bus began to take off, I heard a thud right beside my window. I quickly looked at the
That
side
boy hanging onto that
and
bus
saw
for
an
dear
arm
life.
reaching up to my window, waving at me, and the arm was wearing a light blue jacket. I didn't have time to see his face because he was wearing a hood, and the bus had already taken off. On the way down to
That's
downtown, I
weird,
tried
bro.
not to think about the man, but it was so hard because it was so weird, and something like that had never happened to me before. I eventually got off the bus at my bus stop and began walking to the building where I had my working clothes and my gear. It was really close to my bus stop, so it only took me maybe about 5 minutes to walk there. When I arrived at the door to the building, I grabbed my key and was about to put it in the keyhole when I saw in the corner of my eye, peeking out from the building's
he
corner,
followed you,
that
bro.
man in the light blue jacket standing,
fade him, bro.
looking at
Just
me.
fade him.
I quickly unlocked the door, ran inside, locked it behind
you a
me.
hoe.
After that, it was 2 more doors. Both needed an access card, so nobody without the card could get inside. After the first door, it was a long hallway. To the left, only lit up by a few lights in the roof. In a ring in front of you, it was the second door that led to my locker in the coffee room. I ran as fast as I could. I was shaking at this time. There is no way I could think of how he could have got down here so fast. I put on some coffee and changed to my working clothes. It was completely quiet in the room. It felt like hours before my coworkers showed up. When they finally showed up, I felt the best feeling in a long time. When it was time to get started with working, we began walking towards the elevator that led up to the top floor, which we were currently working on. When we arrived at the top floor, I realized I forgot my helmet in the locker.
Bro.
So I took the elevator down, went through the 2 doors,
hired this
and
dude,
got my
bro?
helmet, and was making my way
Forgot
back up
all
to
of
the
his
others.
equipment, bro.
When I had opened the first door and was standing in the dark hallway, I froze.
Oh my god.
I heard someone whispering my name from the back of the hallway.
Oh.
I looked down the hallway and saw the same man.
Yo, it's personal
the
if he
same
whispers
light
your
blue
name. That means
jacket.
it's somebody you
He was
know.
standing there looking at me. Then he said something I will never
What he said?
forget. You look so peaceful when you sleep, Victor. He said in a deep but shaky voice. I felt my whole world shatter. When
He know
said
where you
that,
live, dog.
Then I ran for it. I opened the door and slammed it behind me. I ran to the elevator and smashed the button to the top floor. It felt like I was going 100 floors
Hey, y'all know the
before I got to
elevator
the
don't
top.
have 13th
I ran to the
floor?
others and told
I mean,
them
it
what
does,
happened.
but it doesn't have the number 13.
They just laughed at me and thought I was silly, saying that nobody can get in there without a card. I planned to call the police, but I didn't for some reason. Probably because I didn't want to look like a coward in
You
front
already
of the
do,
others.
bro.
Eventually, I never saw that man again. I don't know if I was hallucinating or he was really there. I have no idea. But
I mean, what
never
made you
walked
think you
the
was
same path to
hallucinating
my
in the
bus
first
again.
place, bro?
And I
Unless you
always
were
sleep with my
on
curtains down,
shrooms
even
or
to
on
this
acid.
day.
That's really it. Smiling woman. Everyone likes a good smile.
I was 10 years old, and I was home alone. But that wasn't a big deal because we lived in a small city. My mom and dad were at my grandma's house. I couldn't go because I was
That
sick.
corona, girl.
It was around 9 p.m. when I was about to go to sleep. My room was really small, and it only had one window facing my bed. That window to me was kind of scary, because when you're a little kid,
And
your
you don't have
imagination can
curtains?
sometimes go wild. At that time,
I don't believe
it
this,
wasn't
bro.
my imagination though. Like I said, I was about to go to bed when I heard a loud scream coming from outside. It was really scary, but I tried to be quiet so I could listen to what was going on outside.
That's
Nothing was
nasty.
happening though. It was really quiet. Like nothing had happened at all. Quieter than normal, actually. Some time had passed, and everything seemed okay, so I just laid down and tried to sleep. 1 hour later, I heard that loud scream again,
Oh my
but this
God.
time, it seemed to be closer. I froze. I was so freaked out I couldn't even move. 30 minutes later, again, the
Yo,
same
something
scream.
happening to that woman,
At
bro.
that point, I was about to cry. I don't know why, but that scream wasn't just a scream. It was at this high pitch, and it was just so creepy. Finally, 15 minutes later, I saw something at that window. It was a really skinny woman, and she seemed so happy for some
Oh my
reason.
God.
She was smiling, and her smile was
Joker
so
got to her,
big
bro.
and creepy. When I saw her, I started crying, and she started screaming again.
Oh.
I was
Yo, that must be
horrified.
annoying.
She was just looking at me, smiling and screaming for the whole night. The next morning, my parents came back home, and I told them everything. They called the police, and the police found out that my window, that was facing my bed, was
She
broken.
did that just with
But
her
it didn't
scream?
seem like it was broken with some sort of weapon. But as if it were broken by a really
That's
high
talent.
pitch.
That's talent right there. Props. That's talent. Creepy guy hiding in my closet. Tell that boy to come out, bro.
I was
Tell
10
him
at
to
the time
reveal
this
who he
happened.
is, bro.
I loved my bedroom, since it had a TV, a bed, and a closet with my computer on my desk. One night when I was sleeping, I heard a noise
sound
coming
like a
from
knife,
my closet,
bro.
which kind of woke me up. I didn't mind it at all because I was still trying to fall back asleep to go to school tomorrow. 3 hours later, after I woke up and ate breakfast, I was getting ready to pack my bag, which was in my bedroom, for school. When I got in my room and packed my bag, I looked at the window and saw some tall black figure with a hoodie outside of my bedroom window. My heart dropped. And when I
shit.
said, "Who in the world is that?" the figure ran away. I didn't
Boy,
see
looking
the
like that
figure's
construction
face since
worker
he
that
was
keeps
wearing a
running
black
away.
hoodie. And it was a
Handle
little
all
dark
your fears,
outside
bro,
since
up
it
front.
was 5 a.m. in the morning. After I came back from school, I was on my phone researching for my school project.
Yeah, right.
Suddenly, I heard a loud tap on the window.
That boy was on Quizlet.
It was that figure
Oh.
again. And this
It was in
time,
broad
I saw
daylight?
his face. He was a man in his late 40s. He had wrinkly skin and had black hair. He smiled at me and said, "Hey, want some candy? Come outside of your house and I'll give you some." He laughed and waited
Oh
for
my
me to
God.
come outside. He ran to the front door and made a mistake by standing there because my dad was
Here we
going
go.
to go to work. And he
Here we
opened the
go.
front door and yelled at him to get the hell
Oh.
off his property
Okay.
or he'll call the police. I rushed to my dad and told him he'd been outside of my bedroom window stalking me. He was about to call the police when he realized he didn't want me to get scared that I was going to get kidnapped or something. So he said he would install security cameras. The only reason why I didn't
Bro,
scream when
fade
he
him,
was
bro.
outside of my bedroom
Who's gonna
window
be a savage
is
and actually
because that I
fade
thought it
these
was
sex
one of my
offenders,
friends
bro?
trying to study with me. But I thought to myself, why the hell would any of my friends want to study at 5 a.m. in the morning? And none of my friends were really that tall. That night, I heard someone laughing in my closet.
Dude, it's the same
I
guy.
didn't open my eyes, but I was
Oh, I
scared to
just
death.
peeped.
Since I heard that he was scratching the bedroom closet with something that sounded kind of like a knife.
No.
I waited a minute or two until I built up my courage to make a run for it and screamed for my life while I ran to my parents' bedroom and locked the door. I explained to them what happened and there was someone in my closet. My mom called 911.
Oh, he's
And the guy
inside.
was saying stuff like, "Come out and I won't make your parents watch as I stab
Yo,
you."
what?
And that was the thing
Where's
that made
your
me so
strap?
scared, because my brain was alerting me that he did have a knife. Seconds later, we heard sirens, and me and my parents heard the police bust the door yelling, "Police, drop your weapon and put your hands up." Me and my parents were relieved that he was gone. I was very lucky that my closet was far away from my bed. It turned out that the guy was a crazy mental guy who escaped from his
man.
mental hospital by stabbing the security guards and
That
breaking
boy was a
out.
true Michael Myers.
From now on, my parents have set up security cameras in each and every room and also outside. Who knows what would have happened to me
For
if I
real,
didn't hear
bro.
him laughing in my closet?
That would have
Would I
been GG
been
right
stabbed
there.
to death? Or what if he was hiding under my bed? Since that day, I still don't know how we got in my parents' house. Maybe my mom or dad forgot to lock the front door. Or he got in from my bedroom window.
Another elevator story? Anyways, boys, we're gonna stop it right there. Thank you guys for tuning in so much. Thank you guys for even clicking on the video, man. You guys mean the world to me. Thank you for all the love and all the support too, man. Last of Us gameplay coming up soon too. Don't think I haven't forgot, man. I'm still on that. I haven't missed a day yet, bro. But yeah, boys. Oh yeah, one last thing before I leave. NBA comes back, boys. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. I heard I think either June 31st they're coming back. It's either June or July, one of those two. But yeah, so you already know we're gonna be watching highlights of those, man. I don't really watch the games like that, but I do watch the highlights, bro. So we're gonna be watching that. I'm gonna share it with y'all. So excited for NBA to come back, man. Finally, it's about time. But yeah, boys, don't forget to like and subscribe on the video, and I'm